Welcome back to the Daily Crypto Report, your go-to destination for decoding the financial world and all things crypto. In today's video, we're diving into a major global player, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and their complicated relationship with Bitcoin. We'll uncover who the IMF is, why they seem to dislike Bitcoin, and how they've used their influence to discourage countries like El Salvador from adopting it. Plus, we'll explore what this tension means for the future of global finance. Let's get started. To understand the IMF's stance on Bitcoin, we first need to know what the IMF is and what it does. The International Monetary Fund was established in 1944 during the Bretton Woods Conference to help stabilize the global economy after World War II. Its main goals include 1. Promoting global monetary cooperation. 2. Facilitating international trade. 3. Reducing poverty. 4. Ensuring exchange rate stability. The IMF has 190 member countries and provides financial support to nations facing economic crises. In exchange, these countries often agree to implement specific reforms, such as reducing government spending or restructuring debt. Essentially, the IMF acts as a global financial safety net, but one with significant strings attached. So why is the IMF so critical of Bitcoin? There are a few key reasons. Loss of monetary control. Bitcoin operates on a decentralized network, meaning no single authority controls it. Not central banks, not governments, and certainly not the IMF. This lack of control threatens the traditional financial system, where institutions like the IMF play a central role in managing currencies and lending money to countries. Volatility. The IMF often cites Bitcoin's price volatility as a major concern. They argue that its unpredictable nature makes it unsuitable as a national currency or a tool for economic stability. Impact on lending models. The IMF's lending model depends on controlling a country's fiscal policies. If a country adopts Bitcoin and decentralizes its economy, it could reduce the IMF's ability to enforce loan conditions, weakening their influence. Challenge to fiat currencies. Bitcoin directly challenges fiat currencies, which the IMF supports. A successful global adoption of Bitcoin could undermine traditional financial systems and the power of institutions that rely on them. When countries like El Salvador adopt Bitcoin, the IMF doesn't sit quietly on the sidelines. They actively push back, often in subtle but impactful ways. Public warnings. The IMF frequently issues public statements criticizing Bitcoin. For example, after El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender in 2021, the IMF warned that the move could destabilize the country's economy and financial system. Withholding loans. The IMF has significant leverage over countries that rely on its financial assistance. By threatening to withhold loans or demanding stricter conditions, the IMF can pressure countries to reconsider pro-Bitcoin policies. Influencing credit ratings. The IMF often works closely with credit rating agencies. Negative statements from the IMF can lead to downgraded credit ratings for countries, making it harder and more expensive for them to borrow money from other sources. Encouraging traditional reforms. The IMF often offers alternative solutions like promoting central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, instead of decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. This allows them to maintain control while presenting a modernized alternative. El Salvador made headlines in 2021 when it became the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. President Nayib Bukele championed the move as a way to boost financial inclusion, attract foreign investment, and reduce reliance on the US dollar. However, the IMF was quick to respond. 1. They criticized the decision, stating that Bitcoin's volatility posed significant risks to El Salvador's economy. 2. They warned of potential disruptions to financial stability and public finances. 3. They also declined to approve a $1.3 billion loan El Salvador had been seeking, citing concerns over Bitcoin. Despite this pressure, El Salvador has doubled down on its Bitcoin strategy, even issuing Bitcoin-backed bonds to fund projects like Bitcoin City. But the tension between El Salvador and the IMF highlights how the institution can use its influence to discourage crypto adoption. The IMF doesn't just target countries already adopting Bitcoin. They also try to prevent others from following suit. Here's how. Policy recommendations. The IMF provides policy advice to its member countries, often recommending against Bitcoin adoption. They suggest that countries focus on strengthening traditional financial systems instead. Regional pressure. The IMF can exert pressure through regional partnerships and alliances, encouraging neighboring countries to discourage Bitcoin use. Collaboration with central banks. The IMF works closely with central banks worldwide, many of which share their skepticism of Bitcoin. Together, they promote alternatives like CBDCs or enhanced digital payment systems. Funding dependencies. For developing nations heavily reliant on IMF loans, even the hint of losing financial support can be a powerful deterrent against adopting Bitcoin. While the IMF remains critical of Bitcoin, not every country shares its views. Here's a quick look at where some nations stand. Pro-Bitcoin nations. 1. El Salvador, the pioneer of Bitcoin adoption, using it to promote financial innovation. 2. Central African Republic, another country that adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, despite facing criticism from the IMF. Neutral or exploring. 1. United States. While the U.S. hasn't adopted Bitcoin, it's home to many Bitcoin advocates and miners. 1. Regulatory clarity remains a work in progress. 2. European Union. The EU has taken a cautious approach, balancing innovation with regulation. Anti-Bitcoin nations. 1. China. Outright banned Bitcoin mining and transactions, citing financial risks. 2. India. While not entirely banned, India has considered heavy restrictions on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Countries that lean toward Bitcoin adoption often face resistance from the IMF, highlighting the tension between decentralized and centralized financial models. So why does all of this matter? The IMF's resistance to Bitcoin represents a clash between two financial ideologies: decentralization versus centralization. Bitcoin empowers individuals by removing intermediaries, while the IMF relies on centralized control to manage economies. Economic sovereignty. For countries like El Salvador, Bitcoin offers a path to financial independence, free from the constraints of traditional institutions. Future of finance. The IMF's actions reflect the challenges Bitcoin faces as it transitions from a niche investment to a global currency. How this tension resolves could shape the future of money itself. The IMF's complex relationship with Bitcoin highlights the growing pains of a financial revolution. While the institution has valid concerns about volatility and stability, its opposition often comes down to maintaining control. As more countries explore Bitcoin, the battle between decentralized and centralized finance will only intensify. What do you think? Will Bitcoin overcome the IMF's resistance and thrive, or will traditional institutions maintain their grip on the global economy? Let me know in the comments below! And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the world of cryptocurrency and finance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.